In this video, we're going to talk about two types of lookup values, the VLOOKUP that we covered in class, and then a second one called HLOOKUP, and it just rotates your table array. So in this example, we have product, various cell phone, we have the number of units sold, how many we have, and the price. So we're going to do a lookup that'll retrieve the price. So we'll go down to B12, we'll type in equal VLOOKUP, and then we want the lookup value, which is A12. Now you'll notice that I have this actually centered, so as we type the function, it's actually right aligned. So it's actually, the function is moving over and covering over the product. So you may have to actually type that in, but there's enough here that I can just click on A12, comma, and then I need the data. Again, you do not have to provide titles, but it's a good idea, especially when you have a lot of titles that look very similar. Here we have price, maybe we have what it cost us, and they're kind of close, and it's like, okay, it's a good idea to name them just so you know for sure that you're getting the right information. So I will select A5 through D8, and then we have the column index number. So if we look at the very beginning, the column 1 is usually your lookup value. Well, actually, it is your lookup value. Column 2 is units sold. Column 3 is remaining, and column 4 is price, and that's what we want to return. And since we do have unique values, I want to make sure that we have an exact match. So we're going to choose exact match. It probably would work. And actually the way I have this set up, it would work because we're just going to pull the name from a list. But it's a good habit to get into because if you misspell the product, you may get data that's not correct. So we'll hit enter. And we look at Nokia. Yep, that is 2344. So if I go over here to the product in A12, I have a little pull down menu and we can change it to mono for Motorola. If you didn't have that, you could just type it in. So that's just VLOOKUP that we've done a few of them. So the V comes from the vertical. So the lookup value is vertical, and what we're returning or looking at will also be vertical. Well, we can also do what's referred to as HLOOKUP. So I'll click on HLOOKUP 1. So the same type of data, but instead of having the lookup value going vertically, it's going horizontally. So our lookup values will be the first row, and then the data itself, second row, third row, or fourth row. Most of the data that you will get will be in a vertical setup, but there may be instances where an HLOOKUP, where your data is going more horizontal, will be a better use of space. So you may see those occasionally. Other than that, the arguments are pretty much the same. So we'll click on B9 and we'll type in equal HLOOKUP. And we see we have the lookup value, which will be A9. The table array will be your data. So we want to include that. When I was practicing this, I also included the product, and it was getting confused. So make sure you only choose the data. Now we want to know the row number. Well, the first row is our lookup value. Our second row is units sold. Our third row is units remaining, and our fourth row is the price. So we want the fourth row. Be hesitant. Don't succumb to using 3, 4, 5, 6, because that doesn't apply here. We've selected this data, so the first row of the data is row 1. So we'll hit comma, and we'll do false because we want to have an exact match as well. And so if we hit enter, our price is 2344. Make this look nice. I can go over here and give it an accounting format or whatever you want to use. So just as before, I have a little drop-down menu here. We can choose other products. We can do Samsung. So we know Samsung is 2324, and we can do Pixel, for instance. That's 3456 and 3456. So that's one example of using HLOOKUP. Our final example is going to have some information from our planets. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here. So this is also in a horizontal setup. I could have taken this and I could have put the planets in columns, but here it's in rows. This is probably a better use of of the space than vertical, but it's just kind of a personal. It really depends on how the data was entered. So our first row is going to be the planets. That's going to be our lookup value. Our second row will be temperature, and our third row will be diameter. So we'll do the temperature. So equal HLOOKUP. The lookup value will be B10. The table array will be the planet names along with their temperature and their diameter. I believe the temperature is the average temperature. The temperature is the second row, so we'll do 2 for second row. And then again, we use false because I want to have, oops, not false, but false, to have a an exact match. So I can hit enter. And we can see for Mercury, it's 468. Notice that the formatting is off a little bit. I can increase the decimal by 1 to fit that. So if I come over here to Mercury and change it to Jupiter, minus 238, Jupiter minus 238. So we can do this once more. For diameter, HLOOKUP. The lookup value again will be the planet name. The table array will be the planet names along with their information. We want to retrieve the third row, because again, the first row is the planet name, second row is the temperature, and third row is the diameter. And then again, I want it to be an exact match, so I do false. And I'll hit enter. And we want to make sure this is correct. Yes, it looks correct to me. 142796, 142976. You should always check 3 or 4 of them to make sure things work okay. When I was working with these before, when I had them to be approximate, it wasn't working properly. I was getting non-applicable because I could not find it. So in this example, it's best to use false. So that's just a quick overview of using the HLOOKUP. The main difference is the horizontal, or should be the HLOOKUP, which is horizontal, has the lookup values, which is right here, is in an actual column, or in various columns, I'm sorry, so it's actually horizontal. And our lookup is in a vertical format. So really the primary difference between the two. So that is the comparison of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP.